And then fuck Philly. I'll never not feel that way about Philadelphia. All right, I'm ready when you are.
We're already live. So.
Are we really? There it is. I don't take it back.
I went live and you said, fuck Philly.
Welcome back to OnlyCops. I'm getting up the stream so I can make comments and stuff like that and talk to you guys. Let me get this stuff ready.
Funny.
But welcome for those of you that are here. Welcome back to our Thursday stream. It's not pulling up for me.
It's up on mine.
I wonder why I can't see it.
Just go to our page because I didn't set it for.
Oh, there it is.
I didn't set it for a time or whatever like one does.
I turned it back. I saw that it caught it.
Did it get it?
Perfect. Yes. Sergeant George, it's good to see you. And Diachi Lawrence, did I say that right? Daichi Lawrence.
Sure.
What's going on? And welcome here to OnlyCops. This is our Thursday BODYCAM breakdown stream, where we take current stories that were given to us either by our Patreon members or through just us sifting the internet. So I want to thank Poofy said Bill Supremacy. And I pronounced it correctly. So shout out to my dyslexia. You don't win today.
Shout out.
This is a Bill and I stream. Producer Juan stuck being a responsible adult. So it is the two-man show today. Just like the good old days.
Riding two-man, baby.
Yeah, I want to give a big special thank you to our Patreon group. They've been super supportive of everything that we've been doing. It's as little as $1 a month, and that gives you access to our Discord, and that's how you can do Let's Plays. We had Apathy and Cheesy Waffle playing with Call of Duty with us on Tuesday. They're both part of our Patreon group, and so it's a cool thing. It gives you access. We answer questions. We share
Cheesy
gear.
is very good.
Yeah, Cheesy. I was about to say he carried us through Call of Duty.
Yeah.
In the little amount of free time that I do have, I do like to play it. It's pretty good. But anyways, this is our Thursday BODYCAM breakdown. As Sergeant George is already saying, he's got his Axon BODYCAM ready. So we're here going to go and give some level of educational input on the stuff of the day. We do this educationally because him and I were both sworn peace officers in a pretty decent-sized city and dealt with a lot of crime. And most of these are contextually skewed, as the best way I'm going to say this, if not made to look biased. You have a lot of people that are pro-police that refuse to see the issues that are at hand, whether they're procedural or from a technology standpoint, a tactic standpoint, or recruiting standpoint. Let's be honest. And then the news, obviously, is you're like kind of the devil if you're a cop doing anything productive.
Fuck the news.
So anyways, we're here to give you guys a voice and to give you guys some educational perspective on this from some cops that used to do it. So without any further ado, I will give it over to Bill, and he is our host, and he's going to run us through all of the stuff.
All the stuff. I'm sure you've seen this already. And this gave me a little heartburn. So it was somewhere in LA County Sheriff's recruits. They were doing like a training run on one of the roads.
Yeah.
And they were apparently struck by a wrong way driver. This just happened, so we'll see what comes out of it.
A really bad scene here in South Whittier. This happening about a half hour ago. There were a group of sheriff recruits that were out for a run, and all of a sudden a car just crashed through the entire group. We're hearing as many as
look at that car, dude.
maybe a dozen recruits that were struck.
Talking about severe trauma here, broken bones, loss of limbs, one on a ventilator in critical condition. Of those 25 recruits, keep in mind some could be from different law enforcement agencies as we still work this out. 16 with minor injuries, 4 with moderate, and 5 in critical conditions.
So far, I don't think anyone's died.
But also we're learning they weren't all sheriff's recruits. There were some from Bell had 2 from their police department. Glendale had 2. Pasadena also had some.
The driver is a male Hispanic, 22 years of age, who was detained at the scene. And the CHP is handling the investigation as is proper because this is unincorporated county area, so they will handle the traffic collision itself. We're handling our investigation. The driver was transported to local hospital. They were negative on field sobriety test and blew a 0.0 on the breathalyzer.
So they weren't intox.
So the cause of the accident, motive, anything is unknown at this time.
So, I find it hard to believe that you drive the wrong way into a group of 25 people sober.
Well, and so we used to have to do team runs, and we did team runs in like a park.
Mhm.
But there was the 41 of us or the 40 of us or whatever, however many people were in our academy.
43? 41?
Was it 43?
We have
It was
41?
more than 40. It was a pretty big academy. So anyways, it was just us, but we were like in a park and we used to have to do team runs. But I used to always think about that because while we were recruits, we weren't armed or anything.
Nope, nothing.
And we were very lucky if like our corporal was there to be armed or somebody was there. But
Well, they were doing PT with us, so
that's what I mean. A lot of times they were just in their sweatpants or their shorts, their little short shorts.
I think
just like
normally
us, so.
if we were outside the academy, didn't we have
I think we had one armed.
one officer?
Because I think our mentor, I'm pretty sure our mentor stayed armed. We had another corporal that was just there as a mentor.
Yeah, because like when we were training, we always had like a officer posted up out by us. But
thank you, Poofy, for the super chat. What made outer vests popular in law enforcement? I will talk about that here in a second once I get done with the story.
Yeah.
Taylor G saw that he said this earlier on IG, and we don't know if they've determined if it's intentional.
I haven't seen them saying it yet, but Sergeant George said probably texting. That's not a terrible explanation.
Yeah.
But
I think the other thing is a lot of times in these instances, and accidents do happen where people are just inattentive or they swerve because they don't want to hit a squirrel or something stupid. But it's kind of hard to prove intent here. It's kind of hard without them just
unless he says it. Unless he says, "Yeah, I meant to hit those cops."
Yeah, without an admission, and then they have accident investigators that specialize in breaking down skid marks and how fast they were going and stuff like that. And that's typically what ends up occurring when they ruled out intox.
Yeah.
As far as alcohol intox, that doesn't mean that they don't do blood work, and it takes a few days, if not weeks, for the blood work to come out if he didn't have anything else in his system.
Yeah.
But the if it was a 20 and he was going like 60, they might be able to prove intent. Obviously, him being on the wrong side of the road, you might be able.
That's
to prove
the weird thing to me.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to like text and drive and like hit a curb, like on your lane. But to go completely into the other lane and drive the wrong way, that's like...
Yeah, I have a big issue with that. Shout out to Pamela. What is going on? It's good to see you again. Welcome to our educational stream, as opposed to watching me ghetto-ly play Call of Duty.
Educational.
Yeah. So I will follow the story. Obviously, we'll probably have an update next week on once more details come out. I don't like to have... as a cop, my knee-jerk reaction is to not come to conclusions. You can guess all you want, but like if for all we know, it was a calculated attack all the way to the guy's trying to avoid a squirrel and hits. I've seen dumber stuff happen for dumber reasons. But I just hope all those guys are okay. I know there's a certain level of okay. A car hitting you is not a terribly friendly thing.
Loss of limb is not a great thing to hear.
Yeah. So I feel bad for all of the guys that are there because these are the people that are still signing up to do the job. And I have a lot of respect for people that in this current climate are not only like wanting to do it, but have like no incentive. Like you're going in as a rookie. Like that is the least pleasant,
especially
job experience. That's what I'm saying. Like you're signing up because you think it's the right thing to do. So I do respect them for that. But there is, not to go in my tinfoil hat's tall enough, but there is a certain level, and I'll tell this to anybody and everybody that's currently in law enforcement or considering joining law enforcement. There's a handful of small pockets in this country where you're not going to have just like outright hatred for you as a job. And it's the nature of the job, right? But I think that ultimately understand that you were walking into an environment where there are people that do not like you. And there are organizations that are allowed to exist that specifically want to do you harm, whether it's civilly, criminally, or physically in this instance. So that's just that's my 2 cents on that. Pamela, thank you for monetizing this unmonetizable stream. I appreciate it. She just said she loves our educational stream with a big heart, and we love her.
Love
and
it.
What was the kind of horse she had?
A Percheron.
A Percheron. Shout out to Percheron. Yeah.
Giant horse.
To get to Poofy's question, what made outer vests popular in law enforcement was utility and health and ease of use. Outer vests, specifically when you have to deal with like adverse weather conditions. So adverse, I mean, it's hot. There is no taking off an inner vest, which super sucks. And uniform shirts have a big limitation on what you can have. We used to have because we wore inner vests. We had 2 pockets that you could go into in 2 different directions. You could either go there's like a Velcro way on the inside, and there's like the regular flap on the outside, and that was about it. That's all you had for the utility of your uniform versus an outer vest. You're already carrying the weight and the movement limitations of wearing soft body armor. Why not have more of a place to put either handcuffs or spare taser cartridges or your body camera? There's a bunch of things that you can do on an outer vest for the same amount of weight. It also takes a lot of the weight off of your belt. Belts are great for securing a gun to your body, and they make great for drawing and presentation and retention, but they suck for everything else. Your radio sucks to have on your waist. Your 4 pairs of handcuffs that you're having to keep on yourself suck to have on your waist. And so it's really bad for sitting for long periods of time. It's really bad for moving.
Josh and I's hips will never be the same.
Yeah, my specifically my left hip, I know because I had to like overload that side because I tried to keep everything away from my gun.
Mm-hmm.
I have like basically a permanent like bone spur.
And we had giant radios.
Giant
radios.
So you can imagine like a Harris radio, like an old school Harris radio. These things were bricks. They were a smidge smaller than that and probably weighed the same.
Yeah.
And they had like the big battery packs on them, which they lasted a decent amount. They were good radio. It was good equipment.
Yeah.
But it was awful.
Not great for a belt.
All of it on your belt. I had my spare magazines. I had both of my handcuffs, my taser, my gun, 2 flashlights that I would keep specifically on my belt, and then the radio,
baton.
And then some. I was about to say we had to keep a baton on our belt.
Had to was a strong word.
Yeah, well, it was GOs. It was general orders. At the time.
Know.
Some people didn't. Some people were braver than me.
Some people put them in their duty bag, and when they needed to do an inspection, they would take it out of their duty bag, stick it back in their pocket, and that some person was me.
Does boss level shit right there. I was an idiot and I wore the damn thing. But either way, weight-bearing vests, or outer vests as you call them, they give you so much more utility on putting that weight there, and it's a ton more ergonomic. The military never.
I think you can carry more stuff.
Yeah, they were doing that back in like the 60s, even before, even the 50s, before they had ballistic vests. They were doing chest rigs and things.
Yeah, I was going to say, even military, they don't have hip holsters; they have drop holsters.
Yep.
So everything off your waist.
Because it's the one point that's going to hurt you the most, and it doesn't really do you a lot of good to hold weight there. It's not a good place in your body to go do it. So that's why they became popular in law enforcement. There's just a lot of big reasons for that. But
yeah,
shout out to police posts. I got it.
So, man pointing a gun. Helicopter was used to find the guy. And when they found him, he was shooting, or they at least saw him shooting. So old buddy here gets out the car with his rifle and just does some work.
Trigger warning to everybody. Shout out to Daniel Defense.
Hey, Jackie, come over here. Come over here.
All right. So obviously,
shout out to that guy.
Saw what happened. Old buddy was running, flipped the safety off, found the guy crouched down between 2 cars, and took care of business.
So Poofy said rate the loadout.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, Daniel Defense is a pretty solid rifle. I think there's not a good way to respond to these type of calls. Typically, you'd always like to stage because you don't want to be like 10 feet out of your car and now you're in a gunfight.
Yeah.
But the car is the way to quickly get you to the place, right? You will get there so much faster in your car than you will on foot. But there's some safety issues to this. As far as a backstop, it's a pretty garbage backstop to have.
Yep.
It's basically a storefront. You don't get to pick that all the time, and so kind of marksmanship and all that stuff's kind of important in this specific instance. I actually got into this discussion. It was like a mini argument online with somebody about the proliferation of rifles versus handguns. They were talking about handgun proficiency and all that stuff, and I was like, to be honest, most of the time it's pretty oversold. In most instances, where I would rather have a rifle in my hand like 9 times out of 10.
Especially
the one time out of 10,
especially in policing.
yeah. The one time out of 10 is when I'm in an apartment complex and it's like a hoarder, so there's like nowhere to move. And basically I'm like crawling through an apartment, and the best thing I could have is a handgun in that instance.
Yeah.
But like 9 times out of 10, I think if you believe that you're going to be in a deadly force situation, they should be utilizing rifles.
Especially this type of situation, just like throwing rounds downrange, like yikes.
Specifically, and I can't go and grab it because YouTube gets all pissed off about it, but we used to use ballistic tip ammunition, and the whole point of this was that if it hit anything that wasn't like linen, anything hard at all, it basically disintegrated this round. It would split, is what it would do. So the ballistic tip would hit first and then split the round, and it would basically confetti. It doesn't explode, it confettis. A lot of people think that hollow points explode. They don't. But the whole idea was that it was to leave all of its energy on whatever it hit. So if I hit a glass, right, it already degrades my bullet tremendously because I lose a lot of the weight in that glass. It'll go through the glass easy, right? But now it's pieces of a bullet that are going there. They used to not go through doors practically. It was a very bad limitation in certain instances for a rifle, but it's a lot more safer to the public than a handgun round that just you can't put enough ballistic tipping on a 9mm round to get it to do the same thing you could do on a 55 grain 5.56 round. And it's easier to shoot. It requires less marksmanship skills to be better at.
Yes.
Shooting at what you want to shoot at and not throwing 15 rounds into
We
the
saw
dirt.
that every year in firearms quals. You would see people shoot damn near a 500 with their rifle.
Yeah.
They get their handgun out and they're lucky to hit a 450. Like,
just to let you know, like if you did not get a perfect score, they oftentimes would make you do it again.
With your rifle,
yeah. It was a very small,
especially because we got to use
rifle.
red dots.
Sure.
And the furthest we shot from was what?
Maybe 50.
50?
I think it was 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with handguns, it was all over the place. I mean, you had a huge difference in performance from one shooter to the other. Where rifles, it was pretty consistent. Oftentimes, it's not as hard to shoot to the limitation of a rifle as it would for a handgun. It like requires a master's degree in shooting, basically. So, anyways, shout out to him having it on there and not getting caught up in his sling and taking it out of there. There's a lot that goes into. I had a very specific way I arranged my sling on my rifle. It sat in a very specific because it was button push. I ripped it out of there and I dumped it around in the chamber. I don't think he was carrying it car ready because I don't know that I saw him charge one in the gun, which. Neither here nor there.
So to me, it looked like it was already out of the rack.
Yeah, it
so
might have been.
I bet he pulled it out while driving, had it here, and just.
So the not that anybody cares, but the reason they do car ready, and this is actually a holdover from the military, is rifles have a floating firing pin, and it's not retained in any way, and technically it leaves a small little dimple on the back of your primary every single time that round just sits in the chamber. And so technically, if I was in a very violent collision or if the gun went into a violent collision, that pin could technically touch off a round. It really happens more in civilian loadouts. Military loadouts, the primer is so much harder to avoid that very specific thing.
Yeah.
So you got guys jumping out of airplanes in the military and stuff like that. So it's different. Shout out to Police Post and BODYCAM Manufacturing Company that George Sergeant George knows me too well. And I would fire my assault rifle from 11,000 feet away. But that's just...
Yikes.
That's true. There it is. You shoot their lung out.
Shout out to
Harrison.
Christian for our $1.99 super chat, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you. Also, thank you, Christian, for providing like 90% of the videos that we're watching today.
Yes.
Thank you for being part of our Patreon group and for contributing. And Harrison, it is very good to see you. We'll keep going.
So FBI data shows armed citizens kill more armed criminals than police in 2020.
Shout out to civilians.
I wonder why that was in 2020. Even though we were cops in 2020.
So I will say this. Conceptually, and Bill and I were still on patrol at this time. We were full on in patrol. We were midnights.
2020 was
midnights
full
and
on.
it was. I did not have it in my head that I was going to retire yet.
Josh was
And
senior
so-
man 2 nights a week.
Yeah, that was shady, dude. That was such a shitty week. So we were,
And I was 7 badge numbers behind him.
and most of the times that meant that you were number 2.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times with that. So, anyways, in a city that was way too big, we were the most senior officers on that side of town for
On the
2 nights out
most
of the week.
busiest, I would say the busiest side of town
Yeah.
on probably the most dangerous shift.
Yeah. So, anyways, the problem, and I don't know how to approach this, but like policy started to change really beginning in 2015 and moving on. But 2020 saw a big shift in policy change, not just with law enforcement, but also with criminal defense attorneys and the district attorney's offices. And what they started doing was they started saying, well, we have too many people in prison, right? And it doesn't look good when I'm trying to go for re-election. So their policy became either don't take them to jail or don't prosecute them if they get to jail. What this created was, I don't want to say an incentivized meaning, but when you had violent criminals that weren't having, it's one thing to get caught with some weed, right?
Yeah.
I would even argue that it's another thing for like substance abuse, like DWI and stuff like that. That's not the crime I'm necessarily worried about. It was a violent crime that wasn't being prosecuted, or
Yes.
violent crime that just like they weren't pursuing for. Pursuit policy started saying, well, you can't unless they're like actively killing somebody. If they've killed somebody and they're running, like we'll just let them go and we'll write a warrant for them later.
Yeah.
It was a very weird, like the whole culture around policing changed, and it was a pushback from the riots and all that kind of stuff. But like a lot of case law changed around this, and you saw a huge uptick in violent crime. And our arrests got way more violent, and not because we were trying to make them that way. I was arresting people the same way I was in 2019, but there were so many more people willing and ready to get into fights in 2020. It was the weirdest thing ever that we expected it after a while. I remember being like shocked when we would go and arrest somebody for like burglary, and they were like, "Okay, you caught me."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, what? Okay,"
Yeah.
because we had people fighting us over PI. We had people fighting us over just getting pulled over so I could tell them that their taillight was out. I was like, hey, I'm not even trying to run you right now. I'm just trying to tell you, like, you have no taillights. And it's like 2:00 in the morning. And you need to chill. So that's probably why you saw more defensive use of firearms. That there's obviously a political opinion that you can have on both ways, but we live in the great state of Texas, and my free advice to you, if you are a burglar, is only robbers. Don't rob houses in the South, because that will happen to you.
We probably made up our state probably made up a large, because it seemed like every other week you heard about another
damn dude, yeah,
burglar getting shot.
Shout out to that.
Real Ness said, update, Police One is right now reporting the driver is being arrested for attempted murder, and they're holding him on $2 million bond.
Shout out to, who do you say it was?
Police One
for giving us the update. And so they believe that they can prove
I bet he said something. I bet
that's
he
what
said,
I was getting at.
I bet when they interviewed him in the hospital, he was like, yeah, I was trying to hit him.
Yeah. So the only reason why they would be charging him for that would be if they felt that they could prove it. Now, like getting him for like vehicular aggravated assault or whatever the heck it is over there in California.
Yeah.
Articulating that's a lot easier because clearly he was in the car and clearly he hit people.
Yeah.
But the attempted murder is a whole other ballgame because they have to prove premeditation.
Yeah. So they must have got something.
Yeah. Shout out to Perilous Mastodon. I got it today. It's good to see you here in the chat. And Explorer, what's going on, my dude? You missed only 2 stories, I think, is as far as we've gotten so far. So shout out.
Stay down! Stay down! Stay down!
Roll over! Roll over!
Get on your back! Roll over onto your stomach! Do it now!
That's a handcuffing position if I've ever seen one. No, it's not.
Took too long.
Yeah. Shout out to Taser.
Come on. Get your handcuffs figured out.
Back up,
Act like this isn't your first time.
Drive your taser back up!
Oh, what?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay. Oh my.
So
All right. We don't have any backstory, so I'm not going to say shit. Because I don't know what that was.
I don't know what they're chasing him for. There's enough for them to think that they used force, unless it was like some sort of aggravated assault or something like that. I'm pretty surprised at the way force was applied at this point, but he's in a roadway that makes me think that there's possibly like fleeing from a traffic stop or some sort of suicidal ideation or something like
maybe.
that. Oftentimes when this is happening in a roadway, it's either a homeless person, it escalated from a traffic stop, or this guy's like it was like a foot pursuit from a domestic or something like that, and ended up in the street. There is some level of exigency here, so I don't really have a problem with the taser deployment. The problem, and Bill kind of said it, he's like, hey, when are we going to go hands-on? And if like he was
in the perfect position. You never get anyone in that position.
And the problem with it is the tasers don't handcuff people. You can't go from taser to handcuffing, right?
No.
And really, like the second he got in a handcuffing position, there was only 2 officers there, or it only looked like there was 2 officers there.
Yeah.
Both of them, I don't care if he had the taser in his hand, both of them jump on the guy and do whatever.
Yeah.
The way this use of force is going to try to be articulated is the officer lost control of his taser. It ended up on the ground. I don't know if they tried to say that he reached for it or whatever it is. I don't know if he had it in his hand, but
he might have touched it, but the other officer picked it back up and then she shot. So
that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's a weird.
I wonder if this was I thought I grabbed my taser and I grabbed my gun.
Yeah, so I don't know. Especially there's only one gunshot that got let off.
Yeah.
It's a more of a symptom.
Yeah.
Of a lack of experience and training in going hands-on with people than it is. And again, tool reliance and all that kind of stuff. I never once accidentally picked up my gun when I wanted to get my taser.
Me either.
I never once
even
during
during defensive tactics when we were getting our asses
You're getting smoked.
beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
yikes. As much as you could sit there and where I think you have a legitimate defense in saying I don't know what was in his hand, sure. There's a human limitation to that, but reflexively reaching for either deadly force or non-deadly force, there's not going to be a ton of justification against that. Just because it's not unreasonable to expect an officer to know the difference in between deadly force and non-deadly force and to leverage that. You saw it with the lady that said taser, taser, taser and popped the dude in the chest.
Yes.
Pretty sure she saw prison time. If this is the instance
she at least
here,
got convicted. I don't know if she ever went.
So I think if this is the same scenario, but I don't see deadly force unless a weapon was produced.
Yeah, but we don't know because we only got a 10-second clip, which sucks.
Yeah,
but
it's uncontextualized. But rip that situation. I wouldn't want to be part of it.
Nope.
Bowler wrap. It's not a bad idea in this instance. It at least keep them from running, but it still won't put them in handcuffs.
No.
That's my only frustration with that. Speaking of TaserCon is going to be in Las Vegas. Just heads up to those of you who are planning to go.
Is this where you go? Is this where you go to Vegas? You get really drunk, and then you see how many cops will tase you. Is that what TaserCon is?
That's what TaserCon is.
I'll pass.
Perilous Mastodon, I agree. It's kind of why we're not really getting into it. It's without backstory, it's kind of hard. Remember the taser in the Wunderwaffel. That does everything.
It even tases cars. Yeah. Go. Okay,
we'll keep going.
So this is a reenactment, a comical reenactment of Josh every time I would go on vacation.
Hello, you must be Detective Hobbs. I am your new partner, Joshua Tay.
Josh is the one smoking the cigarette.
Your last partner,
he doesn't
Detective Jimenez. I never met him, but I hear he left some pretty big shoes to fill.
Let's get one thing straight. You're never gonna fill Jimenez's shoes. Ever. Jimenez was a good man. Better cop. Philly Menace's shoes. The tip of your dick couldn't fill a bottle cap.
I'm very sorry if that came out wrong. I'm sure Jimenez was a great cop.
The best!
Okay. So these prostitute murders, seems like a serial killer.
Could be.
I actually worked out a theory.
I don't give a hobo's hat about your theory.
Sounds like something Josh would say.
Theories like some kind of a needle dick Charles Darwin. Not on your ass. Jimenez always shot straight from the dick.
All right, we're gonna move on from that. I just want everyone to know that's how Josh felt when I was gone.
Acted every time.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I think I would specifically avoid having to ride two-man with people.
you took the desk most of the time if I wasn't there.
I used to. That's true.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh, we need someone to take the." I got that. Don't worry, I'm already there.
Yeah.
And then it was you and Stafford. I'm trying to think. Those are probably the only people I did ride. Oh no. Our former narcotics detective.
Oh yeah.
I just rode two-man with him.
That was before I moved to Northside, though.
That was before you got up there, but I was more of his babysitter than anything to make sure he didn't get us in trouble.
Yeah. Trouble-ish, yeah. Yikes. So this one doesn't have any sound, but it's NYPD responds to a call. They arrive on scene and the guy starts shooting at him.
Shout out to police posts.
So,
well, that's patrol. My guy's just hanging out.
Yep.
That is a furtive movement. Wow. That is less furtive. That's him just shooting.
Still trying to shoot.
So
his high point jammed.
He's clearing a malfunction.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Shooting like me in Call of Duty.
We got it.
So a lot of people will get mad in a use of force scenario when they say, well, the guy was on the ground and the gun was out of his hand. And I'm like, he's not safe till he cannot reach the gun.
Yeah.
And that's the reason being he was clearly struck by a round here and ended up falling on the ground. And really, the reason I say this is because that's why tactics are designed that, hey, until the threat is ceased. And that means this person cannot pose a threat to me. So from a civilian standpoint, I do not want to look like a threat. I say this a lot of times when people talk about concealed carry and all that kind of stuff. Hey, sheepdog it up, but understand that you look like any normal civilian, okay? Like unless you have the uniform or I don't know, some kind of indicator. There's no way for law enforcement to determine the difference in between somebody that's sheepdogging it and somebody that's an active shooter.
Right.
Same kind of
I
goes
like that
for
sheepdog in it.
Yeah. So the same thing kind of goes for law enforcement that like, hey, you're in danger till you're not. You have to treat it that way. You see a lot of people that will kind of not know, and am I in a deadly force situation or am I not? That should be a very hard line in the sand. And we always talk about that last shot or that whatever. I was like, hey man, is he still within reach of that gun? Yes. So that guy decides to roll over and be like, okay. Like there's no. It's hard to judge that because
old buddy still had it in his hand for a while.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, and he was shooting back too. Even
exactly.
Down, so.
Yeah.
As much as that might seem weird to people that are not from that world, if you've never been in a deadly force situation, you don't understand what that's like.
Yeah.
The question I always pose is how much leniency will you give to somebody that is either trying to kill you or wants to kill you?
None.
Answer that question for yourself.
None.
We have backstory on this.
This one, yeah. Well, kind of. So, officers were investigating an unrelated shots fired call. Individual was shot in a parking lot. Individual went to the hospital. Half an hour after the initial call, a man can be seen walking underneath crime scene tape approaching officers. Officers asked him to remove his hands from his pocket. Individual produces a handgun, pointing it at them, firing 2 rounds. Officers engage. Stop the threat.
Take your hands out your pockets for me. Hey, stop!
So, yeah.
Well,
not a good day if you watch old boy cross under the crime scene tape and start walking towards you with his hands in his pockets.
It's a pretty hard line. The officer obviously recognized that there was something weird about that. Like, hey, there's like you had to walk past crime scene tape to get here. It's not like there's an imaginary line. I actually do like that this guy not only drew, he was already getting into a defensive posture because he realized, okay, what the hell's this guy doing? He made space. Shout out to this guy for he's like, hey, distance is my friend. At least I know I have a firearm. And the second this guy produced it, the clip said hesitation in the dark. In that instance, I don't know if it's a cell phone or whatever. A furtive movement's more than likely going to be a gun. And there's a lot of case law that supports that if I quickly reach for my waist, pull something out and pointing at you in a shooting position, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's unreasonable for me to take the time to determine what it is because you're placing the officer in a situation that's not fair. In the same way that if an officer was like handed you a gun and said, shoot the gun or I'll shoot you. And then you start shooting it and he's like, I stopped an active shooter. Like that's unreasonable. It's the same. It's literally the same script flipped, right? You're like, well, am I going to be okay? Like what situation? Like this cop's telling me to do this, right? That's an unreasonable set of circumstances for the civilian. The civilian then putting the law enforcement officer in a situation to determine how legitimate or illegitimate the posture is, especially in the dark with flashing lights and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to that officer for giving him those extra 2 seconds. He was trying to determine as to whether or not this person was just having suicidal ideations and just pointing a cell phone at him. I don't think he should have waited. And I kind of understand why police post said hesitation in big, bold words. But that being said, I think he did what would be considered the honorable thing to do. And then once the thing that was in his hand started making flashing noises, okay, it's a gun.
So that's another thing post that year we talked about before, that magical 2020 year. I think you see a lot more hesitation.
Oh, yeah.
Police just doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is from producer Juan, so take it as you will.
Next. I was next.
Bro, hold on, bro. Hey, it's okay.
I was next. I was next.
Hey,
Jackass.
Can you please? Why are you hitting me?
I was next.
It doesn't matter. You don't get to hit people.
Why?
Because, do you know him?
I definitely don't know him.
So why are you hitting him?
Because he jumped in front of me. Why are you touching me?
Hang on tight. Come on over here. Let's go.
Where?
Where's your ID? Give me your ID.
I got it right here. I got it.
This is Dallas. Shout out to Dallas PD.
It is Dallas.
I don't have his ID. I don't have any information. No.
These are two sergeants. They're working a part-time.
Yep.
Poor guys.
Stand over there. No. Back up.
Whoa.
Back up.
Back up, man. Back up, jackass.
What's your ID?
I got it.
Give it to me.
Bro, dude, the officer presence on body here, dude. Jeez.
Nah, we're just joking.
You see that got shrunk when that
Yeah.
guy
I don't
walked.
care.
Yeah.
There's no joking. You don't joke like that.
How we don't joke? We're joking. We know each other.
All right, here's the thing, man. Look,
Huh? Go ahead, sir.
I know your dumbass videos. This ain't the place for it.
All right.
Is this your wallet?
No, that's not my wallet. Money.
One choice is going to go very badly for you.
What happened?
Bro, look at this posture.
Is this your wallet?
Mr. Brown,
I don't know.
shirt here.
And to think they did this for a fucking viral video or something stupid.
But what's the problem, sir?
It's breach of the peace.
I'm not searching. I'm patting
You made a
We know each other.
action that
Put my thing right here.
elicited a
See my
police
thing. I
response.
know.
Go over here.
And they can articulate a breach of the peace element to it. Kind of like calling 911 and calling in something fictitious.
Yeah.
I don't got my wallet. It's in the car.
All right. We
But
get
it's
the
not on this
point.
in the car.
They get
Get
arrested.
wrecked. I'm glad they go to jail.
Me too.
That's so stupid.
Don't be an idiot. Let's see. There we go.
I'm going to address the chat. I was in North Park in Dallas. He's being arrested for violating Apple's terms of service. Boom. Shot one-handed. Oh, he's talking about the other clip. Yes. Jacob said sheepdog in it. I need to reference the Urban Dictionary for this one.
Jeez.
Shout out to Jacob. Thank you to everybody who's liked the stream so far. Thank you. I appreciate it. Joe Schmo. I like him. He's encouraging Juan. Don't do that.
Yeah, especially not in the comment section.
Yeah, just got home. What up, fellas? Tyler, it's good to see you. Also, Boom11, it's good to see you, my friend. Just meant to say it was a prank. Doesn't make it legal. Agreed. I was robbing the bank. It was a prank. It's fine.
Yeah, I was just kidding. Imagine if that worked. I was just kidding. It's just a joke. I didn't mean to shoot you.
This has the 3 scary word or letters, which is OIS. So YouTube, you're warned that we're doing this educationally. So we're trying to glean some sort of information.
We're gonna
Hello,
skip this.
my name is Captain Kelly Muniz, commanding officer. Was captured by multiple surveillance videos from nearby businesses.
Thanks, Cap.
Well, this guy's already got the gun in his hand. Pointing.
Yeah, pretty easy to figure this one out.
It's weird because it doesn't look like he's got a specific victim in mind or whatever. I think he's just trying to elicit a response. This makes me think it's mental health. This feels mental health related. Doesn't change the response, but at least our cause here. Blank Forge, what's going on? Only in study. Oh my god.
He's chasing the police car.
Oh yeah, he pulled his gun out to chase the police car. What a fun guy. I'm 2 minutes in. I'm already blessed. Weekly IS.
To be fair, this was in May of this year. This wasn't.
I guess he's running from PD here.
Yeah, it looks like they're at the top of the screen.
Oh, it's a shooting position.
Yep.
Man, talk about a shitty backstop here. It's like a parking lot.
Yeah. And he has all of the cover.
Yeah.
They have none.
Man, and then giving chase sucks because you don't you have to slow down for every couple seconds.
Yeah. We don't need slowed and zoomed.
Oh, they have their Axon
This incident was also captured on the responding officer's body-worn video. Body-worn video cameras are used by most officers assigned to field duties. They are worn at chest level and
shit makes mad already. A 2-minute buffer, damn. A big buffer. Ours was 30 seconds.
Yeah. Shout out Axon.
Yeah.
2-minute buffer. You're not going to get away with shit.
Stop!
He had to turn his radio. Maybe he turned it off because he used the car radio. He didn't want the echo. Damn.
Shots fired. Officer needs help. Santa Fe, Washington. Shots fired. Officer needs help. Santa Fe, Washington.
So he shot at them as they turned the corner.
No, stay right here. Stay right here.
Smart.
Yeah.
No need to run up there.
I need you to put that gun down. All right, he's coming down with the gun. All right, he's leaning down with the gun in his hand.
Leave the gun on top.
Leave the gun on top of that box.
They're in a Taurus.
Hey,
just leave the gun on the top of that box.
Gun in the right hand.
Leave it there, yeah.
He's kind of
leave it right there.
Halfway on the Connex box.
Imagine
look, and if you come down with that gun
as a patrol vehicle,
something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, dude.
And we don't want that.
Rip.
Gun still in the right hand, sitting on the edge of the Connex box.
JC, you have a shot or no?
No, there's my offset. I can't aim, and if I get a shot, I'm just gonna
You're real low right now. You're real low. You'll hit the door, JC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Can you move up a little bit more?
Yeah. Which way? Straight on?
Yeah, just go straight. No, go that way.
He's racking
Okay,
it.
he's racking the action as if the gun is empty.
Yeah, I'm monitoring for 5 as
I'm
well.
gonna throw it to the far left.
Okay, we see that the gun is empty from here. I need you to drop it. There, okay. Good.
That's a really bold guess.
Now.
Yeah.
That's a 50-50 swing.
Tell me he threw the gun.
Okay, he
Just threw
tossed
the gun.
Go ahead.
Just threw the gun onto the floor. It's off to the right.
Bill can tell patrol car types. Josh can tell firearms.
I can't hear you. You're gonna have to listen to me.
We're a dangerous pair here.
Come off the box so we can resolve this.
The Bearcat's here.
Okay.
They can probably get closer.
Put it head on right there, right to the side of us.
Helicopter.
All right, that's fine.
There we go.
Hey Mario, the gun's on the floor there in the rocks by the wall. You see it?
To the left. There he is. There he is. Okay.
Okay, good. Now walk towards me. Walk towards me. Okay, I got you. Nothing's gonna happen.
I'm out of place.
Walk.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay. They're
Okay.
No, I'm just saying they'll
come up.
Do me a favor. Come down. Go down to your stomach.
On the ground now. He's taking everything out of his pockets.
Go down to your stomach and listen to me.
Shout out to these guys.
Yeah.
Spread your arms out wide.
There you go.
Good, just stay right there.
What's the watch?
Oh, buddy works out.
Yep, no kidding.
As every SWAT officer should.
Pieces. Chris, if you ever see this, I hate the department's policy and culture of not having hand pieces. I hate it. They should have an arrest team now. They know they got one person on lethal and everybody else can chill.
That is not the team you want to mess with. All right, he's in custody.
Shout out to these guys. Say you can do dumb stuff, but make good decisions afterwards that can lead to you surviving an encounter like that.
Yeah.
Your decisions determine the outcome a lot of times.
Yeah.
He's got a Ford F blank. That's funny. Shout out to this special report. Training for terror.
Whoa, gunshots.
Whoa.
It's the biggest change in British armed policing in a
Shout out to
generation.
6 Hour.
We've been given unprecedented access to the new recruits.
On me, closed door right, split.
The ones
Dude, talk about the quad rails, my guy.
Facing the terrorists. They are armed and carrying big responsibility. The marauding gunman that struck in Mumbai back in 2008 changed the thinking of UK police forces. First Paris attacks saw roaming gunmen in the heart of Europe. But it was the simultaneous strikes in November that changed everything. Scene after scene of mass murder. We now live in a constant state of alert. Across Europe, we've seen cities in lockdown and more weapons on the streets.
I wonder why. It's not like they don't have super strict gun laws.
Dude, whoa. They had an Uzi
in the UK.
in the same group.
Is this
They're piecing it together.
the biggest surge in armed officers that UK police forces
Check out their beard
have
policy,
ever
my dude.
known.
Yeah, well, that's his religion. So. I should have used that as my excuse.
I also thought straight away I better
It's my
prepare
religion.
in case that ever happens, and that's what we've been doing literally from the Monday afterwards. We started planning and preparing then.
Seems to be getting closer and closer, and it used to be all what if. I think now people are when.
We know there is a determination to attack in the West from Daesh, and actually
I think we get the point of this, yeah.
Paris really was that was a game-changing moment. And
So they learned a lesson that like the rest of the world learned like 50 years ago, that there's bad people in this world, and with the proliferation of very extreme political opinions and beliefs, and I watched a podcast recently that talked about high contrast opinions, that you can't be neutral on a topic. You have to either hate or love it. Like there's no happy medium. And so like you can't just be like I used to say this all the time about people that were agnostic. I was like probably some of the most honest people in the world, because they're like, I don't know. And I'm willing to say I don't know and not have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Yeah.
But that idea of when you have extreme opinions like that, you're going to have conflict. And when you're having conflict in a modern setting, the frustrating part with the internet, and this is the whole reason why we do OnlyCops, is because an extreme idea or group of ideas can really escalate and quickly turn into this kind of nonsense. So, yeah, don't do that shit here.
Juan said, dude was lit with a desk lamp.
He would complain. Jacob, he put a Santa Claus thing for the beard. Yeah, I think in general, I think we need to learn back what real tolerance is. Like real tolerance is like, hey, I don't have to agree with you. I can disagree with you and not hate you. Or I can see that this thing might affect you more than it affects me, or this concept might be more important to you than it is to me. I think we've completely lost that in the last 10 to 15 years, and it's made it to where it's a very high conflict area. Will Bill join for the after party? If we hurry up through all of this stuff, yes. We're trying to end at 9:30. So,
Sweeper said the same culture that has caused the issues in the U.S. is starting to come across the pond. I don't 100% agree, because across the pond just shows you that super strict gun laws don't equate to less violence. Yeah. And I would much rather get shot than stabbed.
Well, and
so there's that.
I think like I said, like it's not the availability of the ability to hurt people hasn't really changed. It truly hasn't see it. in the last like 70 or 80 years.
So they can't get their hands on a gun. What are they going to use? A knife. Yeah. Can't get a knife. What are they going to use? A fucking tire iron. It doesn't matter.
One of the creepiest things, and I remember it's now like an inside joke with me and my wife about 22s. There's like this weird culture in the gun world that it's a 22, that's stupid. But one of the like most successful mass murderers of like recent memory used a little 22 revolver.
Also, I would hate to get shot with a 22 because it just ricochets around in your body.
Yeah, it's
like,
a bad day.
God awful.
So anyways, I don't know. Learn to love people. Because if not, but learn to love, but make sure that you're never at the mercy of somebody else.
While you're holding a gun.
That's the 2 cents. Yeah, that's the 2 cents I kind of always give people. Is I know I'm a good person, and I surround myself with good people. I do not want to be at the mercy of a random stranger. And it goes to the kind of the same thing for, that's why you vote. And I think that's why you do certain things. You don't want to be just completely at the mercy of everyone else's opinion on stuff, because you might not agree with that, or it might negatively affect you in a way that you don't want to. And as a police officer specifically, your job is to make sure that you're protecting, whether it's a marginalized group or a rare idea or whatever. You're supposed to make everybody have a fair existence. Shout out. On the board with the nail in it.
Hang on, I'm responding. Here, I'll play this.
Okay.
Better stop. 1033, give me the patch.
He's asking for the channel. Oh, that's an accident. It's a beep.
Hey, what's the street here? Hey, don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Hey, stop! Stop! Don't do it! Hey, what's the address here? What's the address here?
I guess they chased him into a cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
He played himself. He also got into a shouting match with like a Honda Civic with like a Ford Explorer. That didn't do well. Shout out to the sheriff's office for boxing him in.
Hey, what's the street here? Hey, don't do it!
Yeah, I mean, in this instance, he's already ramming the patrol cars. I don't think he's showing any intent to stop. I know that might seem a smidge harsh in this specific instance, but let's say he drives on and he goes and nails a family of 4 down this street in this clearly very congested neighborhood. You have an obligation to the public to keep this a you problem, not an everyone else problem. In the same way that one guy went and shot at police in one instance and then completely gave up and was able to survive this, in this instance, he not only hit the car, he then backed up and was going to do it again. And in that instance, normally, team, you don't detain cars. They actually did the thing. They detained the car with the car, right? And now they have to take him out of that vehicle so that he can no longer flee or do damage or whatever. And he could have very easily backed his car into that house behind him, structurally destroying that, possibly killing a family in there. Right there, you have a decision to make, and it's, do I stop this situation here? And again, utilize deadly force. The Supreme Court has defended the utilization of deadly force to detain somebody if it merits it. This is a violent felony in progress. Don't use a weapon. Our weapon will probably get used on you. That goes for the civilian world as well as the law enforcement world. But in this instance, that car is absolutely a deadly weapon. And even though he's hitting another vehicle, there's still a person inside of that vehicle, and he's now also causing a deadly threat to everybody else that's there. So I don't know how much better, minus what is it, the bolo wrap for cars? I can't remember what that thing is called. The grappler
that they use in Phoenix. I think it's
the grappler. Grappler would make a lot of sense here in that instance. They would have gotten the front tires rather than the back, but that would have made some sense here. But outside of that, I don't know what else you do in this situation. I don't know why this guy's running. I wonder what the traffic stop was for, but he thought it was worth ramming a motor vehicle. It's aggravated assault. We'll keep going.
Dude, I don't know.
That's dumb.
In our department, we would have been probably fired for that. So.
Oh, 100%. Do I agree with the policy?
No.
No. But that's the state of policing. So why is he stopping?
Incident to
stop. Get your hands up right now. Stop.
Your call has
Stop.
been updated.
Stop. 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 You're gonna get shot.
He's got a knife.
Stop it, Chris.
Sure does.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop it, Chris. Get it over with.
This is mental health.
Yeah.
Oh, he ran.
Incident to stop.
Get your hands up right now. Stop. Stop.
Nope.
Stop.
Nope.
Stop.
Nope. Nope.
Stop. You're gonna get shot. Stop it, Chris. Drop the knife.
Nope.
Drop the knife.
Yeah, we don't need to watch it.
Do you hear the song in the background? It's like Walking on Sunshine.
Oh, God. Nice.
Pardon me laughing. It's not funny, but it is.
That part's funny. But I think you're definitely right with the
I think
mental health
this
aspect.
is a mental health issue. I don't mean to laugh at the situation.
And
but
also, he knew his name, so
he did know his name.
I assume he knew who
Joe
it was.
Schmo, driver, might as well have thrown a hammer at a windshield. There's no peaceful intention. I agree. But yeah, the song choice. He was like blaring of "Walking on Sunshine." That's wild.
Hey, who knows?
Maybe he was high.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Approximately 8:30
makes a
p.m.,
bad
a call
decision.
came into the 911 center regarding an armed individual in the parking lot of the Rockford Casino. Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies were the first on scene, and Rockford Police Officer Jordan Black arrived soon after. This is a dash cam video from Officer Black's
Oh no, he
squad
parked
car.
in a fire lane.
A couple minutes later, Rockford Police Officer Dion Embry arrived. When Officer Black arrived, the man with the gun, later identified as 51-year-old Bradley Tompkins, was speaking with a female in a car in front of him, and also a man instructing the driver to back up. After the driver backs up, officers are attempting to speak with Mr. Tompkins, but he refuses to remove the gun away from his head. As you can see on the dash cam video from the Rockford Police Department squad car, the officers continue to attempt to speak with Mr. Tompkins.
Yeah. He's going to point it at them at some point.
go from suicidal to homicidal real quick.
Yeah. Especially when the gun's already out.
Yeah. I guess he gambled too much or something. This is mental health for sure.
Lost all his money. That's what casinos are built for.
After a few minutes, he fires a shot into the air.
Nah.
Officers are attempting to engage him further in conversation and are continuing to tell him to lower his weapon.
Pause it. I'm not gonna lie, if I was a sergeant in this situation, I'd be having a real hard discussion with these officers for not shooting him at that point. And it sounds weird, right? They're like, well, he only shot at the air. He's already displayed that this is absolutely a real firearm. I have a parking lot that could have people in it. I have a road behind me full of people.
Parking lot filled with cars.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Nah, dude.
It's like at what point we experienced this every shift. I don't think I went a single shift where I didn't directly interact with people that were having incredibly acute mental health crises of some sort, right?
Yeah.
You have an obligation to the public to step in here. In the same instance, and this is what frustrates me about this, it's the same culture, and we talked about what 2020 did to policing. The same thing that kept Uvalde PD from going in there and handling up what they should have done. It's a very clear-cut case of there's something you should be doing here, and you're not doing it because you're nervous, because maybe you're making the wrong decision or whatever. You have an obligation to public safety. He's in a public place, willingly discharging a firearm.
Yep.
That's my big frustration here is like, that guy's a goner.
And this is going to go on for another like 2 minutes.
This guy's a goner at that point. Like, there's zero reason.
He hasn't even like attempted to put it down.
What if some person that's aloof that doesn't know what's going on pulls their car in here or tries to leave the casino?
Yeah.
And you have a hostage, and for what? I don't know, man. I have a real big issue with this. What if he started walking away? You know, what
now you gotta shoot him in the back.
Where's Explorer? The bolo wrap makes a lot of sense here. Where's Explorer, my guy? This is bolo wrap pepper ball, and he's getting the bullet the next thing. You just try to get him to comply.
Pepper ball. Just shoot a beanbag shotgun. Shoot it out of his hand.
He stands back up. Using both hands, he raises his weapon toward officers.
There you go.
Officers then shoot toward Mr. Tompkins.
There you go.
Yep.
Here, demonetized if we weren't before.
Yeah, whatever.
Poofy, thank you for monetizing this. And Pamela and Christian Halsey, thank you for monetizing it, because we for damn sure got demonetized right then and there. Thank you guys, as well as our Patreon group. Thank you for monetizing it. Explorers like bola. Just can't shoot his arm like Hollywood. Yeah, that would be hard.
Where's Alec Baldwin when you need him? He could get the job done.
Anyways, what I'm trying to say is
what?
I would take a beanbag shot at it.
Yeah, why not?
You know?
Yeah.
That might make some sense.
Joe Schmo said that bullet is going to land on something or someone. They should have taken him out there and then. I agree.
Joe Schmo gets it.
The second that firearm was fired, done. You have
like
to.
I totally get waiting, because clearly he's suicidality, right?
Yeah.
He's a danger to himself.
Yeah.
But like the second it went off, I'm like, oh, and even then, I don't like that he's not controlled. He's not complying. Now, if he was gonna walk himself to sit somewhere where he was basically a corner, fine, that's fine. I'll talk to him all day there behind a shield and whatever.
Right.
But like, he's got to give me something. Yeah, he's got to give me something to believe that he's at least willing to talk to me and have discourse. If not, I am now allowing somebody that's clearly in some sort of mental episode to dictate what happens in this instance. And not just me, but the public is now subject to this person who clearly is not expressing great judgment. or feels that he has nothing to lose.
Sweeper said you can't use the beanbag shotgun unless you have a supervisor as a backstop.
I forgot.
Oh.
A chief, no less.
Yikes. So
Shout
this is going to be a little bit more video of the one we watched. The officer with the rifle took out the guy in front of the strip mall.
Okay.
This is just more video of that incident.
Other people minding their own damn business.
Yeah.
I have no idea. What?
I don't know. Really hard to hear what they're saying.
A few minutes later, that same camera caught the man and a motorcyclist walking into a store together or inside the exchange words.
Oh. They both pulled guns on each other.
So the guy on the motorcycle said
They
something.
continued
to
their
this
verbal
guy.
confrontation.
Oh, so
and
motorcycle
pointed guns
guy's
at
the
each other.
asshole here.
Yeah.
Officers involved in the shooting did not activate their camera until after the shooting.
So yeah. That's really all it was. It was a...
What a weird way for that to start.
Why did I become...
dang it.
What happened?
There we go.
Why did I become a police officer? April 20.
Shout out to Chris.
Poofy sent this one, so this is our last video for tonight.
Let's see it, and then there will be an after party for everybody in Discord.
California, just outside LA. It was a sight even these hardened professionals would never forget. On the front steps, a man's body lay shot in the head.
Unfortunately, you had no choice but to step on.
Look at Chris.
Look at this guy.
I was working for a local ambulance company called Medevac Ambulance in the city of El Monte, and I was a 911 paramedic. This call that I was on, where I saw with my own eyes an entire family wiped out, and the very simple fact that a mom, her 8-year-old daughter, and 6-month-old baby were all shot execution style. And I remember that evening thinking to myself that I never wanted to see this again, nor did I want anyone to ever experience it again. Because I was like, I want to do more. I want to do something to stop this from ever happening again. And it was just that I want to fight evil.
So I've had a lot of really cool conversations with Chris, both on and offline, about the job. And Bill and I were.
I'm just gonna leave this screen up.
Yeah, just here. Yeah. So Bill and I were taking a drive, and we even talked about this. I call it a sickness, to be honest, because I feel like it's a bit of a sickness that some people get, where they're like, I would rather suffer the pain of death rather than to allow for evil to exist completely unimpeded. And evil is not. I think a lot of people hear the word evil and they think like super villain, big brain kind of stuff. Evil is just the victimization of other people. Even if it's something as simple as some guy decided that he's going to be a selfish asshole and throw a bottle of water at a waiter because they took too long, I get to alleviate that situation. I get to become a consequence for this one person who's being selfish and taking this thing out on everybody else. That's most of the evil that you'll combat as a police officer, right? There's selfish people doing selfish things, whether it's domestic assaults or whatever it is. Then there's like big evil stuff. This is aggravated assaults. This is murders. This is all the stuff I can't see on YouTube, or they're going to super blow us up here. But that I didn't get to encounter crime like that. It probably took about a month or two of me being in field training before I was like finally ground zero for something like that. And it completely changes the perspective of the job for you. Like, it's no longer I remember it was weird. My brother, who grew up with me my whole life, and he knew me as like the kind of like overly emotional, really sensitive kid. Naturally, that's how I am. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm kind of a teddy bear of a person. I adopt outdoor cats and stuff like that. I'm naturally as God made me that way. And then as I got older and as I grew and as we get into this kind of stuff, and I started getting exposed to this, some of my high school friends got hurt. A good friend of mine that I grew up with, I was very close to, got killed through completely randomly through gang violence. And slowly that chips away at you and you develop what I call this sickness. And it's you can't sit by. There's a real rage. There's a really cool moment at the end of I think it's No Country for Old Men. They talk about embers and a horn, and you like hold on to that, and it kind of gets passed on from generation to generation, and it like lights this fire in you to do stuff. And everyone has their catalyst moment for that. But yeah, it's a different thing. Almost every single cop I've ever talked to that I respect can talk about that series and that sequence of events that led you from like a normal functioning person to someone with this sickness that you cannot sit by. Like you really have a hard time. And now I have to avoid it because I understand the legal and the criminal liability that falls within intervening in this kind of stuff. I did it for a while and I am proud of that aspect of my life. But in my opinion, it's not worth it to intervene for a bunch of people that cannot do it for themselves at this point. That's a selfish 2 cents for me, but that's how I feel.
For us.
Yeah, for us. Yeah, true. Yeah. So it's a, but it really is. There's a very cool, a very misunderstood aspect of law enforcement, and that is you are taking that burden for people. There are situations that you either don't have the courage to solve or can't physically solve them yourself, and so a police officer will come in and do it for you. Sometimes poorly, as we see on this show all the damn time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm glad for the people that are still willing to do it. I'm glad to have participated in the parts of that job that I'm incredibly proud of, and then to know people like Chris that did it for way longer than we did.
Still doing it.
Yeah, still doing it. And it's a very, I don't know, it's a very hard situation. I think I had this conversation with my wife, Bill and I, who spent a lot of time in this environment. We feel very differently about this kind of stuff now. It's very, unless you've done it, you truly don't understand it. It's kind of why we have this conversation. Is like, I know how they feel 9 times out of 10. And so that's kind of why the situation is what it is. Do we have anybody? Chris got his stone face on. I want to thank Joe Schmo, a Perilous Mastodon, Boom 11, Pamela, as always, for stopping by. Sweeper, who am I missing? Explorer, I already said. Tyler Stevens, Poofy, also for the super chat. Jacob for stopping by. I know Blankforge was here. Producer Juan, and whatever his nonsense is. Sergeant George, or St. George as we like to call him, Real Ness, Taylor G, Christian Halsey, Harrison. Am I missing here? I think I got everybody. Oh, Daichi Lawrence. Thank everyone for stopping by.
That's right.
I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I will be in the after party for a little bit.
I will be there probably.
Yeah, so we'll
after I
we're
turn
gonna
the football game back on.
Yeah, we're gonna debrief for a couple seconds, and then for everybody that's currently gonna be in the after party, we are going to be in Discord. To get access to Discord, you can join our Patreon group. It's as little as $1 a month. That just helps keep the lights on, basically, for us to do this kind of show, and helps us afford some of the aspects of this show. Because we do this completely in our free time. I have a day job, Bill has a day job, and Juan has a day job.
Juan's at his day job right now.
He's currently doing it right now. So we have a lot more produced content that we plan on filming here shortly. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to be cranking out to you guys.
Yeah.
We're also hopefully going to be doing some more live streams for you guys in our off-duty streams. Go check it out. It is on Twitch. Believe it's just called Off-Duty Streams. If not, just look up OnlyCops, and we should be the only thing that pops up for that.
Yeah.
With that, I appreciate everybody that shared clips, and thank you for everybody who's there. I will see you guys in the after party. Thank you for riding 2-man with us. Thank Bill for hosting this show, who's the power top, as always, between the two of us here. Until next time, peace.